Welcome to Live with Candace Parisi. I am Candace Parisi, and this is a question and answer format. I'm here on Wednesdays, YouTube Live, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doing psychic readings and mediumship. I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm an intuitive counselor, and this is a great place to ask questions and get a reading. If there's loved ones you want to connect to, please feel free to ask. Hi, Melissa. How are you? And thank you so much for being here. I see all these new buttons, but I don't want to touch them. Hi, Meredith. It's not true. I do want to touch them, but I'm afraid. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Patricia. Hello. Hi, Lori. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. I'm hoping you're doing good. Hi, Julie. Hi, Erica. If you were here last week, I was starting the process of getting a cold. I thought I was, intuitively. Hi, Raven. Hi, Carmen. I was intuitively correct. I have this whole week. I have just this the whole last week. I was a giant booger town, and I think I'm doing a little bit better. I have like, when you like blow your nose too much, and I don't know, there's that. Hi, Diane. Hi, Beverly. Good, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Miss Pendulum? Oh, you're Tiff. Hi, Tiff. Hi, Christina. Good. Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be using the Muse Tarot. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Jeannie. And so if there's anything that's coming up in your life, anything you'd like to ask, please feel free to ask. And this is our cup for the night. It's dogs, bunch of dogs. There's just, you want to know what's in there? It used to be coffee, as you can see by the coffee stain, but that was this morning. Now it is water, and then I got some. I have maple trees, and I got a bunch of maple syrup out of the maple tree, and I put a little bit in my water, so it's like sweet, weird water. That's what I have going on. It's not coffee, but I needed coffee. And I was in my office going, oh no, I don't have coffee. But you know what I do have? Something weird that is also coffee. It's this. It's a tube of coffee. That's how coffee important life is right here. It's called No Normal Coffee. I'm not a sponsor for No Normal Coffee, but it is really, I mean, it's not good. It's not good. It's good. It's good. But it's also like gross. But here it is. So it's it's kind of for people who are, oh boy, that's a lot. Who are like hiking, probably, or like need to store it in their backpack. But delicious. And then you're caffeinated. Da, 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 da. You didn't even need to drink it. So I got some of that. Oh, hello, Artistic Mom. Thank you so much for sharing this, Beverly. I appreciate you. Hi, Debbie. And thank you for anybody sharing. And thank you, Lori, for moderating. Duh. You've never seen that? Oh, yeah. It's a tube of, I guess it's like concentrated coffee. I don't know, but it's a paste. And I think I just ate a lot. It's from Switzerland or some shit. Oh, not cussing. Or some stuff. But, but yeah, it's not bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's gross. It's not bad because it gives you caffeine. And so thank you for sharing. There should be a share button somewhere. Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for doing that. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. You do need that, Beverly. It's what's it called? No Normal Coffee. You need it. You need it. Everybody needs it. Yes. I haven't seen you in forever. Hi, Josephine. Ah, I believe you texted me tonight and I haven't got to it yet. I believe. Hi, Karen. But I will. I'll get to it. Yes. Ah, good. Good. And so while you're showing up and while you're sharing and while you're subscribing and while you're eating coffee out of a tube, whatever you're doing, I will also share. I started a brand new service called a surprise psychic text message reading. And let me tell you what it is. So, all you have to do is place an order for it. And then it's $22. It's a limited time thing. I'm only doing it this week. I'm only selling them this week. And in the next 2 months, I'm going to send you a deeply personal, one of a kind, just for you in the perfect moment text message that is a psychic reading for you. And so, if that's something that you're interested in, I'd love to have a session with you. Hit the heart button if you've already purchased one. I'd love, lots of people are gifting them. It's been wonderful. It's going to be so cool. I'm so excited about it. And so I put the link in the description of this live. And so if you want to jump on there and place your order, it's just for a limited time. It's $22, and it's sometimes it's nice to get guidance in that sort of spontaneous way. And so I thought this would be a great way to do that. And so over the next 2 months, at some point, you'd receive a text message from me that is just for you and what you need in your own life. And so it's on travelingintuitive.com, but it's in the store. And so you can jump over there and grab one. I look forward to it. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you for hanging out with me on Wednesday. Again, I'm going to be using the Muse Tarot. So any questions you have, please feel free to ask. And then at the end, I'm going to pull a card for everyone here. I'm going to get to every 25th person, as many people as possible. And so, yeah, that's it. I'm going to do that. And I'm hoping you're having a good week. Is Mercury retrograde over? I think so. Thank you, Artistic Mom. Thank you, Karen. Yes. Good. Hi, Stella. Ah. Okay. Good. All right, let me get started. I'm going to start right in the middle. And then please feel free if you have any questions. Oh, I'm so glad you grabbed one, Norma. That's wonderful. Okay. Welcome, Miss Lena. D is wonderful. Okay, right in the middle is Stephanie Gundry. Grundry? Hi. Grundry. She says, hi. She says, wondering if I'm doing the right thing separating with my husband. We've been together for 8 years. Hit the heart button if you got separated from your husband or wife and you felt like it was a good idea. Sometimes it's a good idea. And so Stephanie wants to know if she did the right thing for separating from her husband. They've been together for 8 years. Okay, I'm going to pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question, Stephanie. Okay. Okay. So, Ace of Emotions. So, Stephanie, in the context of if you should have separated from your husband, yes. Now, with that said, I think that your hesitation in the first place was a couple of factors. One, I don't want to be alone. 2, you don't trust your ability to make decisions for yourself sometimes. You don't trust yourself. I think that a lot of times people don't leave relationships, especially a lot of times women don't leave relationships because they're unhappy. Unhappiness is not a good enough reason to leave a relationship oftentimes for women. Oftentimes women need to be, they get cheated on, or there's abuse or something like that, and then they feel like they can. But to just do it because you're unhappy is really difficult, and it causes questions, like the questions you have. Like, I'm wondering if I did the right thing, because he's not a monster. When I'm looking at him, he's not a terrible guy. I see the reason why you want to say goodbye. I think this separation is a good thing because it gives him the opportunity to work on getting this relationship back. He shows up as loving you. He shows up as feeling very connected to you. He has the ability to love you. You didn't marry him and believe that he wasn't capable of loving you. He is. He just has a lot of characteristics that don't work in this relationship. And so now that you're separated, he has the opportunity to work on those things, and you two have the opportunity to work on those things together. And if we can, this is a relationship where we can get back together. But if we're just like going, oh no, I'm scared and I'm afraid and I don't want to be by myself, and you're running back into the relationship because of that, it's the same stuff. So we're just walking back into something that doesn't make us happy. So I'd utilize this opportunity to allow him to be better. And I think that he wants to be. And so he didn't make the wrong decision, or else there would have been no change. And I think this gives him an opportunity to know that he doesn't want to lose you. And it's worth it to him to make some shifts that, when I'm looking at it, are not okay for him to be up to in his life with you. Okay, good. You deserve lots and lots of love. Yes. Good. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Ah. And Stephanie, she says, thanks so much. You hit the nail. Ah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'm going to get to the next person. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much for being here. Happy Wednesday. I want to say happy spring, but I think it's going to snow here in a minute in Chicago, which I really love. I don't. Yeah. I have like a whole like farm type situation, and I've already like planted way ahead of time and some things, and now it's going to snow on it, which I love that. I love that for me. Let's see. Hello. Okay. Thank you for asking your questions. 25 is Diane Connor. Hi, Diane. Diane says, will I be okay tomorrow with my plan to leave? Great question. All right, let me pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question. Diane wants to know, will I be okay tomorrow with my plan to leave? Okay, I understand what you're saying. Let's see here. The Knight of Materials. You show up as very okay with your plan to leave. There does show up as some some things that feel like that they weren't planned. The Knight of Materials is in the question that you're asking is, hey, there's a bunch of things that come up that was not planned. So get ready for all the things that you thought you were planning to get kind of thrown up in the air. But it's still okay when it comes to your plan to leave. And so all of it shows up as good and safe. It just shows up as, anything that you're trying to control. It feels like it gets thrown up in the air and it ends up landing and being just fine. And so, yes, you show up as your plan to leave works out just fine. Just have less plan. Do the leaving, less plan. Okay, good. Good. Thank you so much for asking your question. Okay, let me get to the next person. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you for subscribing and sharing. I appreciate you. Let's see. Okay. 25. 25 is Elena. It's Lana. Lana. So Lana. Maybe it's Lana. Let me sound it out. Lana Putnam. Putnam. That's what your name is. And so Lana says, is there a witch in my life? All right. Good question. And so my assumption is when you say witch, you are you find a negative connotation, negative idea around the intuitive that can't spell or speak, the that there's a negativity. So oftentimes when somebody asks a question like, is there a witch in my life, you're worried about, is there somebody who's doing something negative towards you, or that has some sort of negativity or in place in your life. And so I'm going to answer your question and then we'll talk about that as well. Let me see what comes up for you. Thank you so much for asking that question. Hit the heart button if you have any connection to that world, the more witchy world, the Wiccan world, those types of directions. Very earthy, feet in the dirt, apothecary direction. Yes. Okay. Okay. So, perfect. 6 of materials. So, when it comes to your question, do you have a witch in your life? Sure. Yeah. And you have an idea of what direction that's going and who that is and what that looks like. I think that the stuff behind it is 6 of materials. So 6 of materials is there's this idea, because there's some different feelings that you're having or different shifts in your life or different things that are happening that makes you feel like that there might be something that has some sort of hold on your life or control in your life, or that somebody has some sort of negative feelings, and so that part's not true. So yes, you have, you have a spiritual life, and you have people who, go in that direction, a witchy direction, and a person that you have in mind. And what I would say is that if you are worried about, in the context of that person, having any effect on your life, they don't. And they don't want to. Nobody wants to. You don't have anybody who's trying to affect your life in any sort of negative way. And you're a really solid, grounded human being when it comes to like feeling protected in your life and loved in your life. And there doesn't show up as anything that is more powerful than that in your life. I think that human beings can be we take the spiritual part out of it. Human beings can be mean to one another and like wish ill on one another and things like that. But the idea that there's like a magical force that can overpower um, what happens in your life in some sort of way that has more power over you than you, or the love that you have in you, or what guides your life. Um, I have not found that to ever be a true thing. So, and I am also not finding it to be true now. And so I think that you do have people in your life, though, that have, some tendencies to believe in that direction, though. So it makes sense that you're asking that question, but nobody has any negativity in your life. Nobody that has like negativity that's trying to like get you in the way that you're talking about. Yes. Good. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Okay, I'm going to get to the next person. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I started a new service that's only going to be available to purchase this week. And it's called a surprise psychic text message reading. And what that is it's $22. And I over the next 2 months, I send you a one of a kind, deeply personal, just about you, my intuitive knowing in a surprise way to you at perfect timing in your life. You don't have to do anything. There's no scheduling. There's no appointments. None of those things. You just purchase the text message reading, and then I do the rest. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. I do a lot of text message readings and things like that, but this is something that I've been excited about doing for a while, and I think that. I don't know. I think that it's going to be really, really exciting. And so, if that's something that you would like in your life, if you want something that feels like it's in perfect timing and it's something that is something that fits your life perfectly in that moment, and it's just for you, and it's coming from me intuitively in the moment that I see that you need it in these next 2 months, then I would jump on the link that's in the description, or you can go to travelingintuitive.com, and it's in the store of the website, my website. So, yeah, I'd love to have a surprise psychic text message reading sent to you, and so please feel free to grab one. It's I'm only selling them, I think, until Sunday, and then I'm not, and so and so grab one if you'd like. I'd love that. Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna get to the next person. Any questions? Please feel free to ask, and thank you so much for asking your questions. You know what would be interesting to do is, let me try something different. Because how this works for me is it like there's no like time for me. So like when I see your question, your guidance is like firing answers at me. And so I'm just gonna Meredith, Angelo, will I be happy if I transferred my job closer to home? You show up as being happier. It's not the job that you would have for the rest of your life, but you show up as being happier. Yes. Ah, good. Marcy Kavanaugh says, hi, will I be moving to Brazil? You show up as having option to move to Brazil. I think that you've had somebody somewhere else in mind for a long time, or for a while too. And so I think that if we're moving to Brazil, we're staying in Brazil, like we're very happy with it. And so I'd be very open to it. It feels like we already could have, and we haven't. And so there's something holding you back. Penny Ross, will my son be okay? So he'll be okay. He'll be okay. But this is these next 6 months are kind of like the, the, the hard part. This is the hard part. This is the part that feels like, yeah, it feels like that there's some hardship there, but he gets through it because he's strong and he's wonderful. And you're doing a great job as a mom, and you're a great son. And so these next 6 months are tough, but he's going to be okay. And you're going to do everything right for him. Okay. All right. Yes. Hello. Let's see. Let's see. Carmen says, will BHM ask me out? Will BHM, Carmen Powers, will BHM ask me out? And so, so you added the H in the middle so that the initials weren't BM? Is that so the initials weren't bowel movement? Is that why we added the H in the middle? So we'll BM. Like, let's be honest. We'll BM ask me out. Good question. BM wants to ask you out, wants to pursue, wants to do that. Shows up as finding you attractive, wanting to have an experience of being in your life in being in your life in more than just the situation, because you see each other now, so it must be like a work relationship or some sort of like the person's not a stranger to you. And so, but does the person ask you out? They show up as they want to. And so make sure you're making yourself available to that. I think that you send mixed messages because you're trying to create safety for yourself. You're always trying to play safe because you've been hurt. And so just be a little bit more open to BM. Not BHM, but BM, and so that they, because they show up as afraid to ask you, as if they don't know what the answer is going to be. So the fact that you want him to ask you, he does not know that, and so you don't need to tell him to ask you out. You just need to be a little bit more, all the stuff, flirty. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you so much for asking your questions. Okay. Good. Okay, Marcy. So back to, I'm stuck between Brazil and Toronto. Okay, good. So Toronto. I mean, Brazil, you're there, and you feel really happy. Good. I'm glad that you said that you're in between the two. Brazil, you're really happy. Brazil, you're feeling like this is, where I want to be. Toronto feels like temporary. Feels like something that would be, you could go. You're happy there, but it's a lot more temporary. Okay. All right, good. Yes. Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to make it financially? Miss Gunter, yes. And you think that you'll be able to make it financially, but this year's a tough one, but it's the last tough one, and it's tough until about February of this next year. And tough meaning like it's kind of like this, where it feels like we're right on the edge, but we don't stay there, and you're shifting into feeling more abundant for sure. Yes, good. Stacy Gibbony says, am I on the right path? You're on the right path. You're on the right path when it comes to most of the stuff. I think that you make some different decisions when it comes to the stress that you carry around your work part of the path, because stress and you don't work really well together, to be honest. And so I think that there's this understanding in you that you need to in order, you need to suffer for money or work harder than everybody else. There's this overextending thing you do. Your nervous system is like da la 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 when I'm feeling you. And so I think you're going to make some different decisions because you're really working on you, and you're working on like the you part of you. But I think that, yes, you do show up as feeling like you're on the right path. You're just going to change some things when it comes to how much you can bite off, because right now, too many things. You're biting off too many things. Yes. Good. Good. Okay, I like doing like this. My dad, he likes to he comes and hangs out with us, and he likes to tell me. He asked me. He says, "Why don't you just he's like, I don't know, like you can use the cards, but you don't use the cards in your readings." And he says, and you just like talk to people and the information comes through. Why don't you just do that? And so that you can give more people, a moment, and more people a reading, and instead of like stopping and doing the thing, because I know that information, it just comes through you instantly when you connect to somebody. And so why are you pulling a card if you don't use cards in your readings, privately? And then I said, Dad, leave me alone. Stay in your own lane, Dad. And then I said, I'll think about it. And then I said, that's true. That's true. I think that people like to see it. I think it makes people comfortable, Dad. Dad, since you're there. I think it makes people comfortable, and it's a good confirmation tool. I think that using cards is a great confirmation because, yes, the information comes to me instantly. And, it's great to, when I pull the card that I pull, it's like, yeah, and it's the same. It's the same as what was coming through. So it's a good confirmation tool, but I get you. Thanks, Dad. Yes. Oh, Lori says, yay, Dad. Yeah. I have wonderful, supportive parents. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Thank you, Stacy. Stacy says you have been spot on the 2 readings I've had from you. Oh, I love that. Thank you for saying that. Tiffany M wants to know, will I be in the same job this next year? Tiffany, you are in the same job this next year, but it doesn't make you happy. You don't show up as happy. And I think that we have jobs that don't make us happy because they pay for our bills, but this one doesn't even pay enough of your bills. So I think that I think it gets to a point where you leave. It's not your only job. It's not your last job. It's not your forever job. And it gets you your job down the road. But, yeah, I think you hold on to it for way too long, for sure. Into this next year, for sure. At least a year. It seems like. And then when you leave the job, you make the decision. But, like a year, 15 months, and then you're feeling like you want to get out. Yes. Well, you want to get out today, but that you'll go for it, that you'll have an alternative, because you're not going to jump out and have nothing to fall back on. Right. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. Linda Henderson, should I give Donnie a chance? Linda Henderson, you are, should you give Donnie a chance? Let's, instead of just saying no, let's say the reasons why. So, Donnie is a complicated guy, and you have already had a lifetime of trauma and stuff, lots of stuff, an unusual amount of stuff, Linda. So we need somebody who isn't adding to that pile of stuff, Linda. And Donnie is an adder. He's adding. Is he subtracting from the pile? Is he making things better? Is he able to show up for you and give to you? Or is it just a warm body? I think that he's not a terrible person, but does he add to the pile? Because we need to heal. We need to be seen and loved and heard and known. And does Donnie do that? So I'm leaving that answer for you to say out loud right now. Say it out loud. Right. And so, I think that you deserve to be loved. So is Donnie capable of loving you in the way that you want to be loved? Right. Right. And so maybe let's shift, and you show up as being able to have somebody wonderful in your life that doesn't add to the already upheaval in your life. Okay. All right, good. Good. Okay, let's see here. Miss Craig, am I moving soon? You show up as moving this year. And so soon enough. And you like where you move. It's a temporary move though. It's like one jump, and then a couple of years later you make like a better, quote unquote, like what you want jump. But yes, you do show up as moving. Hello. Oh, good. School? School, what's your name besides school? Hello. Christine says, it's nice to see you. I'm having a really bad day. Let's send Christine lots and lots of love. She says, I'm having a really bad day. Lots of hearts and love sent to you and anybody who's having a bad day. School, you're Tanya? Sorry. Thank you, Sonia. Tanya. So, Tanya, your question was, let me go back to your question now. It was, can you tell me what you see in my love life, please? Oh, good question. So in your love life. So, you do, I think that you're in a place of being a better picker for sure. I think that we're ready because you have when I'm looking at you, your passion, it has a lot to do with building this loving, caring, kind relationship, building a family, the building. And over these next 2 years, your guidance is really strong around like showing me like you building a house. Now you're not really building a house, but it's like this time where you're building. I think that when I'm looking at you, the person that you're spending the rest of your life is already in your life. Now, if you brought them up close in your life, that's something different. But you do show up as having your all the time person already in your life. And it's just about these next 2 years, you building something with somebody. Everything in your life right now feels like it's in movement. But that part feels like it's always sticky, and it has your whole life. And now we're in a place where we really just want to like do all the stuff and have all the things when it comes to feeling loved, and you're there. I think that now it's in building that life with somebody that you really care about, and that person is already in your life. And I think that because both of you have had dysfunctional relationships in the past, there's some work to do in loving and trusting and all the different things, but it's worth it. Shows up as worth it. Okay, good. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Okay. Okay, let's see here. This is fun. Not using my cards is like so much fun. A good good idea, Dad. Candace says, I'm very concerned about my job. I may have to leave it. What are you concerned about? When it comes to your job? What's the concern? Karen Carlson says, should I return to Sean? Should you return to Sean? Should you return to Sean? I think that we already left and then returned before? Have we already done this sort of back and forth game? I like Sean. I think that the time that has gone on has made you both have worked on yourself. Sean has worked on himself. Does he still have stuff? Yes, but it doesn't show up as something that would be, it doesn't show up as something that would be difficult to work on. And when I'm looking at him, he wants to be returned to. It feels like you would regret it if you didn't. You would feel regret. So I'd be quite open to it. I think that, is it tricky, and does both of you have to kind of do a do-over? You know, sometimes we beat the crap out of our relationship and then there's no turning back. You know what I mean? And so in this situation, we've done some of that. And so now we need to start fresh if we're trying this again. Like a brand new relationship, like two people who have never been together before. That's what we got to do. And so if you feel like that you both can do that, then let's do it. Let's get back together. Let's try it. Yeah. Because you both want the same things. You both know how to love. You just got to be able to jump those hurdles of the stuff that happened before. Yes. All right, good. Good. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I am going to get to a few more people. And then I'm going to pull a card for everybody here. So stick around for that. And thank you so much for asking your questions. Thank you, Raven. So are you. Thank you, Kristen. Abraham Scott said, are the voices I hear people's thoughts, or are they hallucinations, or something else entirely? Hit the heart button if you hear thoughts, or you hear voices. You know, when somebody is developing their intuition, hearing and seeing are the last thing on the list, because your brain doesn't know what to do with that information. If you can hear things and see things, but they're not really there, like in a physical form, your brain oftentimes has a lot of things to say about that. Like you're crazy and all the different things. And so when you're developing intuitively, the very, 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 very last thing on the list to develop is hearing and seeing, and it's overrated. It's overrated. I just hear and see, and but it usually starts out like as a gut feeling, um, and and then it depends on how quiet your brain is, to how willing your your brain is to get out of the way and be quiet more so that you can hear and see. Abraham, you have a very loud brain. When I'm connecting to you, you have lots and lots and lots and lots of thoughts. And when it comes to your question, are the voices I hear people's thoughts, or are they hallucinations? I think that you do have a lot of empathy, and you connect to people, and you have a great understanding of people. I think that you have survival empathy, which is, trying to like maneuver and feel um, where you're safe in the room. I think that the thoughts that you hear aren't always positive thoughts. And so when it comes to that, are they thoughts or are they hallucinations or something else entirely? I think it's a mixture of all of it. And so, what I would do so that you can, um, I think that your guidance in your life is never going to give you more than you can handle. So, when I'm looking at you, you're anxious about all of it. And it feels like, I don't get it. And what does this mean? And that's why it's the last thing to develop when you're developing your intuition, because your brain's got to be real quiet, right? And so when I'm connecting to your guidance has no desire to cause you anxiety, and your intuition has no desire to make your connection a bit uncomfortable at all. And so in the context is, are you hearing people's thoughts, or is it your intuition or hallucinations? I think that it's a lot of mixture of all of it, but there's a lot of fear inside of it, which which means that there's things to evaluate around what you're experiencing, because I think a lot of it is internally with you. And so I think there's also a deep connection there. And I think since you've been a kid, you've been very intuitive. I just think that when it comes to the experience that you're having right now, it feels like I would sit down and I'd ask your guidance to quiet it down, to create some space from it, so that to ask your guidance. So I think that we don't ask or pray, like sometimes we call it prayer, but asking your guidance is what I'm calling it, because that's what I call it for myself. Asking my guidance to help me differentiate between my intuition and my brain, because that's the most important piece, is what does my brain sound like and what does my intuition sound like. And when you're developing your intuition, that's the part that gets fuzzy and messy, and yours is fuzzy and messy. And so I would ask your guidance and say, you know what, I want to turn this off. I want to create boundaries around it, and do that as well. And and then, keeping that relationship going, so you don't feel like you're going through the experience that you are all by yourself. Yes. Okay, good. All right. I'm sending you lots of love. Thank you for asking your question. Okay, all right, let me see. Uh, Let me see here. Ashika, um, you show up as you're being really diligent around it. I think you show up as having inflammation, but um, I think that I would continue to do physical therapy at home so that we can build muscle where the inflammation is. But it's not far from now. You're doing like it shows up as a surgery that you should have gotten. So it feels better and better. Uh, let's see. Hosanna, do I take this class? It is lots of money. do you feel like, Hosanna, that you need to be, do you feel comfortable being a perpetual student forever, or do you think that you're ready to not be the student anymore? Do you think you're past the student part of the show? Do you think that sometimes we could be students and and um, hide there, you know? And so just make sure that's not what we're doing, because you don't show up as needing to go to school. You show up as wanting another tool for your tool belt. Yes. Good. You're welcome, Abraham. Okay, let's see here. Let me get to one more person here in the comments. Thank you for asking your questions. Okay. Da. Okay. Julie Fisher says, what does the remainder of 2025 look like for me? Julie, the remainder of the year is really wrapped around a relationship. Like a lot of the decisions that you make moving forward is in the world of a relationship that means something to you. The changes you make financially, where you live, what you're up to, what you're doing, how you're feeling, are all wrapped around a relationship, and it's a positive relationship. And so I think in the past we've had not so positive relationships, and when I'm connecting to you, immediately your biological, so your brother passed away, and he, really likes whom is arriving in your life when it comes to relationships. And so feels very much like you focus on that this year, and focus on getting comfortable feeling loved. Okay, good. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. And thank you, everybody, for asking your questions. And I'm here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doing psychic readings and mediumship. And I like this. Maybe YouTube Live is a no card, just go for it. Go for it place. And so come back next Wednesday. I can get to a lot more people, that's for sure, which is pretty awesome. Yes. And if you haven't already grabbed a surprise psychic text message reading, in the link of this live is where to go. It's $22, and what that is in the next 2 months, all you have to do is purchase it. You don't have to do any scheduling or anything. And then in the next 2 months, at a time that is in perfect timing, intuitively from me, I'm going to send you a one-of-a-kind, personally just for you, deeply personal text message reading. And I'm selling it this week, and then I'm not. And so if you would like to grab one and place your order, today's a good day to do it. It's on travelingintuitive.com, and it's in the store section of Traveling Intuitive, if you can't find the link in the description of this live. But I'd love to have a surprise text message reading with you. And thank you so much for hanging out with me and being here and subscribing and being you and all the stuff. And good. Let me pull a card for everybody here. This card is for the 49 people who are here. And anybody who's here in the future. And thank you again so much for being here. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Lots of materials tonight. Queen of materials. So let's talk about Queen of materials. So Queen of Materials card, it can come up with in several different situations inside of a reading. So if somebody asks a question about a person, Queen of Materials is somebody whom is growing financially, right? Is growing into themselves, doesn't need anybody, is feeling comfortable in their life financially. In the context of, it being like in a general direction and a part of our life, it's about you feeling more confident when it comes to the to yourself as a person, confident about your life. And the suggestion in the card is that you don't, right? That we're getting there, that we're becoming the queen of the materials, right? We're becoming the queen of our own existence, of our own meat suit, of our own stuff. And sometimes we are running and jumping and not liking and being all over the place in our life in a way where we feel like we lose ourselves. We feel like we've lost ourselves. And so when we're tiny little kids, we're present and we're available and we feel like we know ourselves and we're going for it. And then we become adults and things happen and we're just kind of sometimes we're just blowing in the wind. Hit the heart button if you feel like you're just blowing in the wind. You're like, what the freak is this life and what am I doing? And who am I and what do I actually want? And, before I came to my office this morning, my 2-year-old, she looked at me in my face and with all the conviction in the world, and she said, Mommy, are you Santa Claus? And I said, why are you asking me this? What are you asking me? And she said, because of this, Mommy. She was talking about my beard, my premenopausal beard. That's what she was talking about. She says, does this mean you're Santa Claus? And and I said, you know what? Yeah, it does. It does mean I am Santa Claus. She says, oh, okay. No cares in the world. Went about her day. And I think that we have, and when we're kids, we're just being, and we're just going for it. And we just know what we want to say and know what we want. And we just have our moments in life and we just feel good and we feel bad and we feel this and we say that. And then as we become a grown up, it becomes more convoluted. It becomes more quiet. We're more guarded. We're more all these things because we've survived a bunch of things and we've learned all of these methods of staying safe in life because we feel like we need them. And so then we can get lost in that. We don't know who we are. We don't remember who we are. And so sometimes it's becoming a kid again and doing kid-like things that, becoming more present in our life that helps us find ourselves again. And sometimes, like talking about with Abraham, is sometimes it's asking your guidance saying, hey, like I feel like my life has just been going and I don't have any idea like who I am or what I'm up to. And so can you help me? Can you help me be aligned in my life with things that show me my passion and purpose and who I am? I think that sometimes we forget we can ask for help around that. And so this week, that's your job if you want to. And I think that there's a lot of value in you remembering you. And so this is a great time to remember you. Yes, and you're worth remembering, if you believe it or not. Yes. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'll see you on next Wednesday here, YouTube Live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. and you are everything you are looking for. Okay, have a great week. Bye.